Welcome to my workshop. I'm here today. I want to talk about a few things that I've discovered. In the past month, I've probably learned more about knitting than I have in all the years that I've knitted. There's a lot of new technology available. There's a lot of people that get on YouTube and talk about their technique. And I learned to knit from a book in the 70s or something like that. And I hadn't done it for an awful long time. And then a friend of mine reintroduced me to knitting. I think it was the 90s, and I really haven't stopped since. So I'm back, and I'm doing a lot more wearables now, and I'm exploring different types of yarns. So I want to share a few things that I got and a few things I found out along the way. So one thing I bought this year was a ball winder, an electric one, and I had never had one before, and it makes a big difference. And then when I started buying the nicer yarns that came in the hanks, I discovered that I couldn't really feed it manually into the ball winder without getting into trouble. So I'm going to show you what I set up here in the studio. I bought this beautiful yarn from my friend Camille. She makes some beautiful hand-dyed superwash merino wool, and I've really enjoyed it. And I have quite a bit of it, so I want to make it into cakes to be able to work from a little easier. So I've always heard that you need to set this ball winder up pretty level with the Swift. So I have a loft, and I found that I could put my ball winder on the little pony wall there and use that to wind up the yarn. So here we are in action, and then I'm going to pull back and show you how I have all this set up. So I have the Swift set up over here, and I'm feeding the yarn over there, and I can sit here and do something else and just get mesmerized by watching it spin around and around. I'm fine with that too. So this is how that yarn works up. It's really great. I love how the colors kind of pool together in certain areas. I'm working on a sweater with this one, and I will keep you in the loop on my makes and let you see what I'm up to. So I'm going to show you this kit that I've had for a very long time. I have a couple of these that I bought. I found another one on sale, and I bought it some time ago. But these are pretty old circular knitting needles. They have the interchangeable tops. They come with these cords, and these cords are where this whole challenge came into play. These cords are very thick. They don't bend very well. I mean, it's kind of like those things that you buy that you have to like fold to make them go flat, and it just doesn't, and when you let go it pops back out. Well, that can be a real challenge. And the other challenge I have is when I'm doing something really large, if I do a waist around a sweater and it's a larger size, then I had to hook these two together. They never laid flat, and it was always a problem. So I figured something out, and I thought I would share with you guys about this. I looked at different circular needle kits to buy with interchangeable tips because I like them so much. But they're really expensive, and I have these sets, and I was like, tried like crazy to order these cords to see if I could get longer ones. No go. They just don't exist. But I found something that did work. The ChiaoGoo work. And they have these beautiful little, they like red, very flexible type of cords. So I bought several different sizes just to have lots around. So I'm going to push this aside and put this down. Now the challenge was, does it fit? Well, these cords kind of have this little screw thing. Let me see if you can see it. Little screw at the end. And these, the ChiaoGoo, they don't. So what to do? Well, they make these beautiful little connectors, I guess, so that you can make them longer and longer. But this worked as a great, brilliant hack on what I need it for. So these little connectors are tiny little things like this that have both the screw, the part on it that goes into these ChiaoGoos to connect them. So what I do is I put these little connectors in there. They're tiny. You have to order the small ones because the bigger ones won't work on the needles that I have. But once I put that on the end, now I have exactly the same thing as I had with the kit that I had. So if I want to put a needle on the end, now, let me get that in the right spot, you can just screw this on. Now, what makes these things really interesting is they're very flexible. They don't like cause the same problem, or not as thick. So you can put these in your sweaters and you can start to knit with them. So I have ordered several different sizes. Probably what I'll do is order some connectors, because if I know myself, I will probably end up losing them at some point. But anyway, this is a great hack. If you end up with a set of knitting needles that you don't know what you're going to do because maybe you break a cord or something, you know, you have to experiment a little bit. And in this case, I found a solution. And I was just lucky that these work, and they're perfect. I've knitted with them and they're doing great. So I'll show you what I'm working on. This is a sweater that I'm working on in the round, and it is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. It's on Ravelry, and I bought this yarn at a yarn fair, the Southern California Yarn Fair, and I just fell in love with it. They had an example there. I thought it was great, but here's the challenge. The challenge was when I came home and I knitted up on this finger weight yarn, I just could not get the color work to look right. So I looked back at the pattern, and the pattern did call for like either a DK or sport weight, and I realized that this fingering weight just isn't going to work, and I guess you live and learn, right? But anyway, I doubled it up, and now it's beautiful. I did change the collar a bit. I just didn't care for how the collar and the pattern looked. This is similar to it, but I did change it a little bit. So I'm really excited to finish this. I'm probably going to have to buy more yarn to finish it since I'm doubling up. But you know, those things happen. Another thing I wanted to show you was when you have a sweater going, and let's say I did this sweater and I wasn't digging on how to put how to do the arms on the upper side of it. It just, something about it just wasn't working well for me. And I've got it almost ready to actually turn into a sweater, and I almost frogged it, but I didn't. But I found these on Amazon, and I think they are fantastic. So I don't have to keep my needles in my work. I can actually put these on and have these little connectors. To me, they look like little skulls, and you just squeeze them down and you can put them back on your work. So this has been another thing that I didn't have, and you know, it worked for me. So sometimes you can teach an old dog new tricks, and there's some things to buy. This is a sweater I'm working on, and I am using the ChiaoGoo connectors and the cables, and it's working really well. You can see the red cord in there, and then I have my needles over here. So this will be a cable sweater that I'm working on. It's not blocked or anything, so it kind of looks a little wonky. This is another thing I want to share that I did. I bought. This is a Yarn Enthusiast journal. It was published by Knit California, and if you don't know her, you can go look online. She has a great YouTube channel and likes to knit a lot of the same things that I like to knit. So I started writing in my journal a little bit, just some of the projects that I'm working on, and maybe just some of the things I discovered about the projects that I'm working on. So I started like writing down like what I'm doing with this yarn, and I can go in and erase it and make it different later. But if I want to look back on it and understand what kind of challenges I had with the yarn, it's a great way to do it is with a journal like this, or a diary type, I call it. And I'm going to use this year a lot in my my quest to become a better knitter. So I hope you enjoyed the little hacks that I discovered. I don't know if any of you have a lot of vintage type circular needles or anything that's older, and if you find a way to repurpose it or support that, is great. It's always going to save you money, and it solved a problem for me. So I've ordered several sets of those cords, so I have a lot of different sizes, and hopefully it'll work out. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.